Hello friends, I am your course instructor Professor Anisa Shikalgar. In today's video, we will start with our point Chomsky normal form, that is CNF. Okay, so here what is exactly the normal form CNF? Okay, so here I have written two production rules. What is A produces BC? So here that production rule we can read as one single non-terminal produces two non-terminals, or the second production rule is capital A produces small a, means single non-terminal produces single terminal. So that particular two production rules are of the form CNF, means suppose the grammar is given and the question is whether the given grammar is CNF or not, then how we can identify? If all the productions are either of these two forms, means the productions given in the grammar are of the form non-terminal produces two non-terminal or non-terminal produces terminal. So if any of these production rules are only present in the grammar, then that particular grammar is called as a Chomsky normal form. So here under this point the question will be context free grammar is given and the question is to convert the context free grammar into CNF. So there are four steps to convert CFG to CNF. So the grammar G is given, which is context free grammar, and that context free grammar we are going to convert into Chomsky normal form. The steps are: step number 1, removal of the null production. So here whatever the null productions are given, that null production we can remove and we replace that particular symbol as the null. Okay, so here I have written one particular example. When we solve that particular example by applying these steps, we can easily understood that particular 4 steps. So here I have written step number 1, removal of null production, then removal of the unit production. So what is the meaning of unit production? When a single non-terminal is present. So here it is capital A, we can say it is a single non-terminal. So single non-terminal is called as a unit production. So in the step number 2 we can remove that particular unit production. Then step number 3, restricting the right side of the terminal, right side of the production to single terminal or string of 2 or more variables, means right side of the terminal. So here it is the arrow, and right side of the production it can be replaced by single terminal. Single terminal means ultimately it will becomes the Chomsky normal form. So either it will be single terminal or the right side it may be string of 1 or more variables. So here at step number 3 we are restricting that particular, and step number 4 is the final step towards the Chomsky normal form. So here also one particular example is given. Here we can see the question will be convert that context free grammar. Here context free grammar is given CFG, and convert that CFG into Chomsky normal form. So by applying these rules we can solve that particular example. So see here students, step number 1. What is our step number 1? Removal of the null production. So how to remove the null production? In that 3 production rules, identify whether the null productions are present. So here we can see that null production is present over here. So we can say A is the nullable variable as it contains the null production. What we are going to see, A is the nullable variable. So here S produces, write down its production as it is. It is A, S, B. Now what we have studied in the first step, to identify the nullable variable, and which is our nullable variable? Capital A. So here for the capital A, if I replace that A by null, what we obtained, that production rules we are going to write. So if that A can be replaced by null, we obtain SB. Then the next productions, A produces small a, capital A, S and A. Write down its production as it is first and then remove the null production. So here if I remove that A as a null, then I obtained A S. The lastly B produces here SBS, capital A and BB. So here we have written that particular, and here if that A can be replaced, there remains nothing. So here these are the step number 1 after removal of the null production. Then we'll move towards the step number 2. What is our step number 2? Here we can see removal of the unit production. What I told you, unit means a single non-terminal. So identify where single non-terminal is present in the grammar after removal of the null production. So here we can observe that a single non-terminal is present over here. That particular capital A is the single non-terminal. So how to replace that single unit production? So unit production can be replaced by the rule given in the grammar itself. So write down here S produces, as it is production rules, ASB or SB. The second production is A produces or A or AS. And in the third production we have identified the unit, therefore SBS, and that particular A can be replaced by the whole productions. Like here it is A, capital AS or A or AS, and the remaining BB as it is. So the students here, that is the unit production, that A is replaced by whole particular here, because A produces, the 3 production rules are given, therefore that particular A we replaced by these 3 production as it is given in the your CFG itself. So this is our step number 2. Then what is our step number 3? Restricting the right side of the production. Right side of the production, that all are the right side. Restrict that right side to single terminal. Single terminal means only a single small letter should be present, or string of 2 or more variables should be present. So here what we are going to do in this step number 3, see step number 3, single A, single B are present. So that particular we are going to replace by XA and XB. So wherever the terminal is present with non-terminal, if single terminal is present, then we can see that the single terminal is the form of the Chomsky normal. Therefore we are not going to replace the single terminal. If single terminal is present with in the non-terminal, means it is the string of terminal and non-terminal, in that particular string the terminal we are going to replace by non-terminal XA. Therefore here we can write S produces ASB as it is ASB, then SB. So here also no terminal is present. In the next, capital A produces, we can observe here it is the string of terminal and non-terminal. If we found the string of terminal and non-terminal, then that terminal can be replaced by the non-terminal. Therefore here it is XA, capital A, S. Only single terminal means we are not going to replace because it is already in the CNF form. Then AS means again it is the string, therefore we are going to replace it is by XA. Then the last one, B produces here S, B, it can be replaced by XB and S. Then A can be replaced by XA, capital A, S. Here it is the single terminal, means keep it is as it is, AS, XAS, and BB means XB, XB. Now it is our step number 3. What is our step number 4? Final step of the CNF. So final step of CNF means after step number 4, all production should be of either these two forms. Non-terminal produces two non-terminal and non-terminal produces single terminal. So we are now at the last step of our CNF, that is step number 4. So what we are going to do in that particular step, suppose here it is the 3 non-terminals present. See here student, 3 non-terminal means it is not CNF. What we want, either 2 non-terminal or a single terminal. So instead of these 3 non-terminal, we are now going to replace the 2 non-terminal as a 1 non-terminal. So therefore here we can say that AS produces capital T. AS produces capital T. Therefore how it becomes? S produces capital TB or SB. Now we can see these two productions are present for S. S produces TB or S produces SB. Both the productions are of the CNF because non-terminal produces two non-terminal. Means here it is all about the S. Now A produces XA capital AS, means here also 3 non-terminals present. Therefore again I can replace XA capital A produces, here we can write another non-terminal, here we can use suppose Y. You can use any of the non-terminals, only avoid repetition of the non-terminals, means T we have used, A, B, S, X, here we have used that, therefore use different non-terminal. Then here it will becomes like YS, or here small letter A means single terminal, it is CNF, and here these two are the non-terminals, means already it is in the CNF form. Therefore A produces YS or A or XAS. So observe here students, 2 non-terminal, single terminal, 2 non-terminal, means all the productions are of the CNF form. Then lastly about the B. So in that B, 1, 2 and 3, these 3 are in the CNF form, only we are replacing about these 2 productions. So here we can replace SXB produces, here we can use M, and again here suppose I am replacing XA capital A, it produces N. So how my production looks? B produces, here SXB can be replaced by M and remaining is S, or XA capital A can be replaced by N, remaining is S, A, XAS and XB, XB. So here 2 non-terminals, single terminal, again here in the both 2 non-terminals, means here these 3 are our final answers. S produces, A produces and B produces. So here if I observe all these 3 productions, each and every production is of the 2 forms, either non-terminal produces 2 non-terminal or non-terminal produces single terminal. So here that is our final step, and we have successfully converted context-free grammar to the CNF. So here these are the steps to convert the CFG to CNF. Here these are 2 forms. So 2 forms are of the Chomsky normal form. The 4 steps, by applying these 4 steps we have converted the CFG to CNF. So in the next lecture we will see another example of converting CFG to CNF. Thank you students.